So today I'm going to be talking about useImperativeHandle hook in React, which is extremely powerful hook in React if you know the working of it. So in my last video I talked about forwardRefs. So we only use useImperative hook when we use forwardRefs. So I would recommend that you go back to that video and check the explanation. So once you are comfortable with using the forwardRefs, then you can go ahead with the useImperative hook implementation. So this was like a small project that we created last time while explaining the forwardRefs. So here basically we have passed this reference to the child component, which is this input. This is the parent component, which is home, and this input is child component. So this is very basic, and we had passed this reference to the child component, and here we had used the forwardRefs, and with the help of this ref we were doing all of these kind of methods like focusing, filling, clearing and blurring. So all of that is working absolutely fine, but now we are going to move forward and implement the useImperativeHandle on this. So what is useImperativeHandle? It is a hook, as you all know, but it is used to modify the reference passed from a parent component to the child component. So like this is the reference that we have passed from the parent component to the child component, which is input. Now here if we want to modify this reference, or we want to expose some kind of new functions in this reference, we can do that. So let me explain you guys with help of an example instead of just explaining the theory. So like, as we know that we have passed this reference down to this child component, which is this, and we have directly passed it to the input. But what if I don't want the parent component to have access to the entire DOM element of this input? We just want a few methods to be exposed to the parent component, not the entire reference object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new reference here, which I can name like child input ref, and I am going to use the useRef. Okay, now instead of using the reference coming from the parent component, I would use this reference which I have created just now. So I will replace this with the reference that I've just created in the child component. Now I want to modify the reference coming from the parent component in order to expose a few methods to the parent component, not the entire reference to the DOM object. Okay, now what I'm going to do is use imperative. I'm going to import this hook, which is useImperativeHandle, and the syntax of this is it takes the reference as the first argument. So the reference is the one that we have passed from the parent component, not the one that we have created in the child component. So I'm going to pass the reference coming from the parent component. The second thing it takes is the creator function, which will actually modify the existing implementation of reference. So basically it can be an anonymous function, so like this. And the third argument it takes is the dependency array, so which means that how many times you want this logic to run, on what basis if any variable changes. So currently I do not want it to rerun, so I'll just keep the dependency array empty. Now what we need to do is we need to return the new reference object from here. So I don't want like literally anything to be available in the parent component, so I only want like a few functions to be there. So firstly I can literally customize anything or any function that I want. So for example, I want a functionality, I want a function to be there in the parent component which actually fill my name in the input. So I can have that kind of requirement. So I will create a function like that with the name like fill my name or something like that, and which is in turn going to do is it's going to take the child reference, it's going to take its current property and change its value to, let's say, Sheldon Cooper. Okay, so what it will do, it will change the value of the input to a name, right? So I want to expose this function to the parent component, and let me save this. And it says use reference is not defined, so let me just import the use reference. Now it is fine. Let me go to the parent component. Now let's say when I click on fill, I actually want my name to be filled in this input. So now the existing functionality was it was taking the reference current property value and was filling a different value in it. But now what I want is, I want my input reference dot current to call a function which is fill my name, which I have exposed through the imperative handle. And let me save this. Alright, after saving it, so I'm going to click on this fill, and you can see that name is filled. So now this function was exposed from the child component in the reference. But if you see now, there is only one function available in this reference. So like if I call focus, so the code is going to break because there is no focus method currently in this reference, because this the new reference, which is modified reference, which is exposed, has only one method, which is fill my name. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to allow the parent component to have like basic functionalities including focus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a method focus. So it should again take the child input reference current property and focus it. Okay, and same thing, I want to go for blur. I want to expose the blur as well. Again, I'm going to take the child input reference, the current property, and blur. And the fourth method that I want to expose is clear. I also want the parent to have the ability to clear the input. Then again, I'm going to take the child input reference current, and I want to set its value to empty string. Alright, now I think that's probably it, and now I think everything will work as expected. Now I should be able to focus, now I should be able to fill, I should be able to clear. Okay, the clear is not working because if I go to the parent component, the clear is actually clearing the value by itself, but that shouldn't be the case. I need to take the input reference, take the current property, and call the clear method on it, which now I have exposed from the child component. So let me save it, and now clear is working absolutely fine. Let me test blur as well, and blur works fine too. So this was the implementation of use imperative handle. Not just this, we can do a lot of other things too. We can change the styling, we can expose the methods on our liking. Let's say I want to have two more buttons here. Let's say I want to have two more buttons. The first one will change the color, and the second one will okay, I think I have, okay, so the second one will reset the color, okay, something like that. So okay, now I have two more buttons. So the first one, okay, now I want to expose these methods from the child component itself, but I don't want the parent component to have the entire access of the reference. So let me go to the child component, and here I will have another method called color. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the child reference, I'm going to call the current property on it, and then I'm going to change the style of it and then the color of it to something like deep sky blue. Okay, and now I'm going to have the same style on the border color too. Alright, now what I want to do is I also want to have a function for like resetting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another method which is reset, and here I want to reset the color to inherit and the border color to inherit too. Alright, now let me save this and go to the parent component. Here I want to have like two more methods, which is the color and reset. So this needs to be color and this needs to be reset. So now I'm gonna go down and on color I'm going to call the function color, and on reset I'm going to call the function reset. So let me save this and let me fill it first of all, and then I'm going to click on color, and you can see the color of input, the border and the color of the text have changed. And now I want to reset the colors. So now you can see the colors have been reset to the default values. So I think this was all about the use imperative handle. I think this is very powerful hook if we consider the security aspects as well. So there can be a lot of scenarios where we don't want the entire reference to be exposed to the parent component globally. So like in the child component, I want the reference to be there in the child component itself, but at the same time I want to expose only a little bit of the functionality to the parent component to perform certain actions. So this is like the extremely better way to do that, instead of just passing the reference directly and calling the function on that reference directly. So I think this is a better and optimized way of doing that. So I hope you guys have learned and understood the concept of this hook, and thank you so much for watching this video.